Welcome to this special meeting of the Berkeley Unified School District Personnel Commission, where we will be reviewing our draft budget. Can we have a, oh, there she is. Can we have a, well, let me wait for one minute. Love that dress.
Apologies, folks.
No problem.
All right, now we can do a roll call vote, or a roll call rather.
All right. Chairperson Alpert.
Present.
Vice Chairperson Roeder.
Here.
Commissioner Goldstein.
Present.
All right, we'll start with public comment. So any members of the public wishing to give comment should approach the microphone. If you want to give comment online, you may raise your hand. And there's a bar. Can you hit OK on that bar so I can see whether hands are raised? The meeting recorded bar at the top.
Someone named Efrain Valdez has their hand up.
Great. We'll go to you, and you have 2 minutes.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you for having me, guys. I just want to advocate for the Learns program at Sylvia Mendez to have whatever it is, but whatever lead's going to be at Sylvia Mendez has to be a bilingual person. I just think that I've been here for quite a while now, and when we haven't had a bilingual lead here, it makes all problem solving with parents and other and students and stuff falls on like the bilingual speaking staff like myself. It increases the workload on like my peers who are not bilingual because they have to cover for me when I have to get pulled out, or anybody who's bilingual has to get pulled out to deal with these issues. And, it disrupts my enrichment and academic hours. So my students suffer as well. It's pretty inequitable for them. And there's also if there's no one here who's a leader that's bilingual, there's not support for these Spanish speaking families or these Spanish speaking kids whenever there's, enrollment issues, or behavior stuff. Right. So I've been the translator before we had a bilingual person here, and I want to advocate for this school to have a bilingual lead in the after school program, whether it's a coordinator, whether it's a specialist, however it is. It just needs to be someone who is bilingual. And that's all I really wanted to say today. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. And I'll just clarify, we as a personnel commission don't make any decisions about staffing in terms of what positions should exist. That's a school board decision. We oversee the hiring process once a position has been created, and our budget is just for the staff of the personnel commission. So certainly comments appreciated, and you're welcome to make them. Just know that that's not an issue within our purview to make a decision about. We'll turn to Nathaniel, and you'll also have 2 minutes.
Good morning, members of the commission. My name is Nathaniel Kane. I'm a parent of a Sylvia Mendez student. I just want to echo the points that Efrain made a minute ago. Sylvia Mendez is a bilingual community. It is not a community where people just speak Spanish sometimes. It is a bilingual community. It is absolutely essential that there be bilingual educators in charge of the Learns program there. And I just want to point out, we were told by a member of the school board that this personnel commission has the power to create a bilingual position at Sylvia Mendez. So that's what we were told by the school board. That's why we're here. I'm not in charge of how this government's set up, but that's what we were told. So that's why we're here. And you're going to hear from us. Thank you.
That is very, well, I appreciate the comment. That's very unusual because we don't have that authority at all. And I'm wondering, go ahead, Erin.
And just to clarify, our past practice is that the board will request for a bilingual recruitment, and then we essentially approve it, but it comes from the board, the request for the position to be bilingual.
Gotcha.
Can I make a comment?
Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Kane, so just to clarify a little tiny bit on what our chairperson told you, it is true that we as the commission don't create positions. But as our executive director just said, the school board through the district primarily, will recommend to us, and it has happened at Sylvia Mendez, that a particular position be a bilingual position. That does come to the Personnel Commission, and we listen to the reasons for it, and 9 times out of 10, we will approve it, maybe even 10 times out of 10, we will approve it. So in terms of advocacy, I can't talk about the specifics of any public comment, but I will say in terms of advocacy, advocating with the district and advocating with the school board is absolutely your best option. But again, we appreciate your comment very much at our meeting as well.
I really appreciate that. Can I just read the statement from board member Jen Korn into the record? She wrote in an email, I have asked the superintendent and her staff to work with the Personnel Commission to create a bilingual learned specialist position, as that is not a position that currently exists in BUSD. No new classified position in BUSD can be created without approval from the Personnel Commission. So that's why we're here today.
Right, and I appreciate that. And that's consistent with what I think the executive director and myself and our chairperson is saying, that if the district recommends a bilingual position at Sylvia Mendez, which they very well may do, and that goes before the board, and the board says, yes, we agree, then it does come before the Personnel Commission, and it is true that no bilingual position can be created without the approval of the Personnel Commission, but as I say, probably 10 times out of 10, that would be approved.
I think the issue is they haven't asked for it. We can't do it without them asking for it, and it hasn't been asked of us yet. So I'm not sure why the school board member is saying that well, anyway, I won't get to the politics here. But yes, certainly thank you for coming to us, and I agree. As someone who attended a bilingual school as an elementary school, I totally agree. It's a very important thing, and we need to have those kinds of programs for our students. Go ahead.
If I can make a follow-on comment, what I would urge the Sylvia Mendez folks to do is go to the superintendent's office or to Jessica Lopez at the office and ask that the board agendize approval of a position at Sylvia Mendez, bilingual, whatever it is you're asking for, so that it can start the process where we develop a job description and do the recruitment. That it seems like what is missing here, and I hope that's helpful.
All right. Is there any other public comment either in the room or online? And if you wanted to give public comment, you can raise your hand. Go ahead, Cynthia.
Hi, I am also the parent of a kindergartner at Sylvia Mendez, so I'm here about the same issue. And I do just want to say, we're all here because Jen Korn from the school board told us that the right way to advocate for the creation of this bilingual position was to show up at this meeting. And she said that she has asked the superintendent to work with the Personnel Commission for the creation of this role. So I hear you that there's a process and there's politics and we have to ask other people, but I will just say dozens and dozens of Sylvia Mendez families have shown up at the last board meeting, at the prior board meeting. We're here today, even though it's 11 a.m. on a Tuesday. Learns is a program to serve working families, and it's really hard for working families to show up at an 11 a.m. meeting on a Tuesday. We just keep coming out again and again to the school board, to the Personnel Commission to ask for this, and I have yet to hear any follow-up other than this one email that I received back from Jen Korn saying that we should show up at this meeting today for public comment. So I just want to reiterate how important this is to our community, and express a little bit of frustration, not with anyone in particular in this room, but it does feel like we're getting the runaround in terms of what we need to do to make sure that we have this role to appropriately serve our school community.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I guess this is my second public comment. I appreciate your comments, Cynthia, and as a former BUSD parent, I understand the runaround. So what I'm going to ask is that our executive director reach out to the superintendent's office to ask, do they need the job description for this, and when do they plan to agendize it, vote on it?
I agree with that 100%.
Okay, let's just do it that way.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I certainly appreciate you all coming. And I'll just say, our meetings are not normally at this time and date. This is a special meeting we called specifically to talk about the budget, our budget. But normally our meetings are a little bit later in the day, not still during the working hours, which I know is not ideal. But I appreciate you all being here and speaking. And yeah, we'll, like we said, we can't initiate that process, but we can reach out to the district and ask them about whether the process is being initiated. Yeah, go ahead.
I would just want to read the merit rules about this process because I think it's pretty straightforward. So this is merit rule 30.200.8. And so A says the Board of Education may, with the approval of the commission, designate positions within a class which require the holder of the position to speak, read, and write a language in addition to English. And then it says the board must clearly set forth valid reasons for placing language requirements on a position. And then the rest of that rule speaks to how we would recruit for the position. So that would be the process.
Thank you. Other public comment, I'm going to go in person first, go to Mildred, and then if there's more online, go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Mildred Sher. I'm the Vice President for BCCE. And actually, my comment is to the online parents that is speaking on the positions that they've discussed so far. And I just really would like to say, because I feel that they are being given erroneous information, not just from the board members, but from others at the school sites and so forth. And what BCC is offering is a question and answer type session if they want to ask us questions that relates to this whole situation, so there could be some clarification given around this whole situation. We will be happy to do so. They can reach any one of us online. They can go to bcce.org and reach out to us, to get our emails, and just email us to ask questions or to set up a meeting with parents, whether that's district-wide at all sites or just at Sylvia Mendez, to discuss the concerns that they have around the after-school coordinators' positions. Because it's not as easy as they think as far as just choosing who they want at a site. There are other rules in our contract that they don't understand. And I think that it may make things easier if they understand process and procedures and our CBA. So I am again offering for a session with BCCE leadership. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any other public comment on Zoom? If you'd like to raise your hand, you may do so now. And any other public comment in the room? And seeing none, thank you all for your comment. We'll turn to approval and adoption of the agenda. Are there any modifications needed to the agenda?
None from me.
Is there a motion?
I move adoption.
And I'll second.
And I agree. We'll turn to our one and only discussion item on the agenda, which is our discussion of our budget. And I will turn it over to our executive director.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, commissioners. So today I'm bringing forward the proposed 26-27 Personnel Commission budget as a discussion item for today's special meeting prior to the public hearing on May 27th. So included in the budget packet are actual expenditure figures for 24-25, and then year-to-date actuals for 25-26 for the current year. And as you can see in the write-up on page 3, the proposed budget reflects staffing adjustments that we made earlier this year to help us improve our PC operations, and then still maintaining approximately the same overall staffing level. And then these changes, in summary, these changes included replacing the personnel supervisor position with a personnel analyst position, and then also restructuring HR tech and administrative assistant allocations like FTE to better support our recruiting and operational needs. And then the proposed salary budget for 26-27 school year reflects negotiated salary increases as well as healthcare costs and step increases. So actual salary expenditures over the past 2 years have come in lower than budgeted due to vacancies and then temporary work out of class assignments that we had to use to maintain operations. So, and then also this year, the commission supported the hiring of 108 IA2 SPED employees, helping reduce contractor reliance, which is generated a significant district savings. And then in addition, all of our IT before and after school program positions are now fully staffed for the first time ever. So the proposed budget also includes continued reductions in non-staff expenditures and operating costs. And so just want to open up discussion for this item. And we also did invite staff from business services who can help answer some questions you may have regarding our budget. It is.
All right. I'll start with any comments from my fellow commissioners.
I have one question.
Go ahead.
And I think, Aaron, we talked about this before, but I just wanted to, I don't have my copy of the previous budget that was in draft that was in the agenda, but under hourly overtime, I think we did discuss the fact that we're putting in for 26-27 $2,000 for hourly overtime. Our fiscal year to date last fiscal year or this fiscal year, we also included $2,000. But our year to date, which only goes till through April 30th, indicates $4,683.25, and there are, a number more months to run. And then, for reasons that I understand, because of staffing changes, our 24-25 was actually $28,000, almost $29,000. My only question is the $2,000 budgeted amount a reasonable estimate of what our hourly overtime costs will be for the forthcoming year?
Yeah, so I do want to clarify that for the 24-25 fiscal year, when we started to look closely at the expenditures, the $28,000 was not actually PC expenses.
Oh, right.
There was an error made.
I see.
So if you can, like the number below were true PC overtime expenses. The $28,000 was due to expenses that were erroneously charged to our budget. Our budget code was used. So I did want to clarify that. That's why I highlighted it. So, but yeah, we came in at about 4,800. This year, we're at 4,600. I know in the past, we used to always budget at around 4,000, and a few years ago, we were asked, I believe by Pauline, to slash that number, the overtime. And, as much as we try to stay within that amount, because of the increase in recruitment that we've been doing, it's almost impossible to keep that overtime low. However, once we fully staffed most of those IA positions, I think we're going to be operating at a more normal level. It's just hard to tell right now because we have had so much action in the last couple of years filling these vacancies.
Is one of the things that causes that overtime, the job fairs that are?
Yes.
That goes in. And you anticipate continuing with the job fairs?
We do, yes. At least until we really can, make a dent on all those vacancies that we have for IAs.
Well, my question still persists, is $2,000. That seems low to me. And we have some people from finance here, so it would be, if Pauline had asked that it be reduced, I certainly take that seriously. And if there's a reason to reduce it from a fiscal standpoint, I'd want to know what it is.
Thank you, thank you. So just to make sure I'm reading it right then, our final spend in 24-25 was 686.8, I guess. I didn't bring my reading glasses, whatever that number is.
No, so the budgeted approved amount was 686, and then we came in at 606.
All right, it's about, okay.
Yeah.
That was the
Yes.
next part. Okay, so we came in at 606, flat pretty much, for 24-25. 25-26, your projected, our year-to-date, it looks like is
463.
463, so that's well under. And this is a number as of May 15th?
As of 430.
430, okay, close enough. So we have 2 more months to figure out. So where do you think we'll actually come in this year?
I'm thinking, it's hard to tell, definitely well under the 643 that was approved. And the main reason for that is because we did have vacancies,
Right,
for several months. And so we finally are fully staffed.
Right.
So, but I definitely think we're still going to come in under 643.
Okay.
Well under, yeah.
Well, I would imagine well under as well. I know there is some amount of recruitment for summer, but a lot of the activity has tapered off.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's just say it's flat for the moment. All right, 606. So the 26-27 budgeted that we're looking at is, God, I really need my reading glasses, 705 or 708?
705.
705, thank you. And the reason that is higher than 606 is it reflects full staffing, right? And it reflects what level of activity would you say compared to this year? And the reason I'm asking is this year we did a lot of work to take contract positions for which we were paying a pretty hefty premium. I forget, Commissioner Roeder, $23K per head? Was that the amount?
For, you're referring to the IAS beds?
For the IAS beds.
It's been calculated to be $27,000.
Okay.
Additional for each contractor.
Okay, and we've converted 40-odd, is that a fair number to say? 40-odd contractor positions to staff positions?
That's a hard number for me to, we hired 108
Right.
IAs this school year.
Right, but in terms of what we've converted, I know
Yeah.
I know it's a floating number, but I'm
Yeah.
thinking 40 is about right. So 40 times 27,000 is whatever it is in savings, chunk of money. So there was a lot of work in terms of job fairs and extra testing, et cetera, to do that. What I want to make sure I understand is for the 705 number, what's on tap for this coming year? What are we going to find ourselves doing that fully staffed complement of the Personnel Commission will get done?
So, one of the trends we've seen is just with our just a regular recruitment, we're getting maybe 4 times the amount of applications. So, what would have taken, one of our HR techs a couple hours of screening in a day now has multiplied. So we are just trying to manage the recruitments we do have. We definitely want to close the gap on the vacancies that we have. We have about 44 right now, IA SPED vacancies. In addition to that, we're establishing new positions for the registered behavior tech. The contractors are about to become, and that'll be coming actually at our next special meeting, our next regular meeting. But we're anticipating even more vacancies, similar to, not the same amount as our IAs, but it's going to be a substantial amount since the district currently uses several RBTs. So again, more support for the special ed department.
Which is where most of our budget expense is, right?
As a
The more we can
district.
do to help several special ed not get contractors, the less money out the door overall,
correct.
I think. And then just generally speaking, refresh my memory, last year, how many eligibility lists did we, I want to say it was like 80.
Yeah, I can pull up our annual report and then give you that number.
Okay.
Sorry for this.
And the reason I'm asking for this is last year was a fairly typical year just in terms of, turnover and staff and what have you, and the work that BUSD has to do to make sure it gets quality candidates. So I would expect we're doing that same amount again this year. And we're looking for the exact number. I know some years it's 88. I thought last year it was a little less. Okay, so, the bang for the buck for the 705 is we have more screenings, just generally speaking, coming in, probably because everybody in the world is using AI. And I hope we're using a combination of AI and humans to do our screening, because I've been watching the flow, and I see sometimes we'll get over 100, 120 applicants, for a position. And if the economy turns, that number is only going to go up. So
84 eligibility lists.
84. All right. Thank you. Appreciate that. 84 eligibility lists. So, the last thing I want to just make sure I'm understanding is that what we spend in terms of, subs and proctors and, people to administer the merit system, right? That line item, which for the upcoming budget, you've got 12,000 in there. You with me? How does it break out in terms of, proctors, raters, and subs? I'm thinking most of this is for testing, but subs may not be for testing, right?
It's mostly for testing, although the last years with our vacancies, we also used it for our work at a class for our staff who had to work at a class due to the vacancies that we had within our own department. But typically we are using raters and employees, current BUSD employees, to assist with scoring exams or panelists for our exams. So that's where most of that.
Where that comes from. Okay, so this 12,000 is directly tied to evaluating candidate quality. We don't really think there's going to be much of it now for out-of-class work.
We're not expecting that, no.
Okay, so, I look at it and I say 27,000 times 40. Does someone have a calculator? We've calculated this before, but it's a pretty big number.
I think we might be going over it later on, but I think in the agenda, there's a memo that Aaron drafted that talks about the fact that 108 new hires in the SPED 2 classification have been hired during this school year. 108. 108 times 27,000 is a potential. May not be actual, but it's a potential savings, according to Aaron's calculation, of $2,916,000. Did I get that right, Aaron?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I guess
But we'll be talking about that later.
Right.
And just to your number, Heidi, just the contractor conversions, potentially it's $1,080,000.
All right, that's what I thought. So in my head, what I consider, the most impressive work that the commission did this year was to actually convert contractor positions to staff positions, right? BCCE jurisdiction member positions. We saved a little over $1 million doing it. And, we spent, we think we're going to come in at, 12,000, 12.5K to assure candidate quality. That looks like a good efficiency number to me. And congratulations. I just am impressed by that.
I have a question, and it's kind of been touched on a little bit by the other two. For the subs, for the hourly overtime and subs and proctors, I know that we've discussed that 28,000 from 24-25 is not accurate. Did we say exactly what happened, or?
Yeah, it was just our budget code was used erroneous.
But even so, our actuals so far this year are both more than our budgeted amounts, which means that they're likely will be higher than that by the end of the term.
Yeah.
But we're budgeting the same amount for next year. So my question is, should we increase those budgeted amounts for next year? Obviously, we want to do reductions. That's what we're trying to achieve. But if we're already over, do we have a reason to believe they'll be lower next year? Or are we just confident that salary savings or other savings will mean that we can float that difference?
Yeah, I mean, we've always had salary savings, in the last couple of years, but yeah, as far as just looking at that number, I would say we probably will go over every year.
So I guess I would ask my fellow commissioners, do we think that it's worthwhile to leave it where it is, or do we want to raise it? And
We're talking about the hourly overtime?
hourly overtime and sub-proctors are both currently over in the actuals for this year
Right,
are
right.
over what we budgeted for this year, and
I-
we've
I-
left them the same for next year.
I think what we learned about sub-proctors is that some of that was for working out of class pay for existing staff, which we don't anticipate next year. So, I'm comfortable that 12 is enough. The 2,000 for hourly overtime, we're pretty sure we're going to go over because our historicals tell us that, and the CBO told us to take it to 2,000. It's a small number compared to our overall budget. I think we know we're going to run a variance against it. I don't want the CBO angry at me.
Do we want to, I don't know.
We can always
I'm not
do
sure what to say.
also, if-
Yeah, I'm going to ask our folks here if they wanted to comment on that.
Yeah, so if I could add something here, what you are saying.
Could you
is
introduce yourself as well,
definitely
just for the-
I saw, 2,000 to be a lower number compared to what has been experienced in the past. But what we just saw that there is a new staffing model, some reallocation of duties, some of the new ways of doing the work here. So that's why what I believe that we could give it a try and see with Erin if she could manage that in the new setup and overtime cost could be curtailed. So that is the reason.
And could you introduce yourself and your colleague also?
Sorry, I am Mehdi Rizvi. I am the Executive Director of Fiscal Services.
Thank you. All right, well, that was helpful. Do we have any other questions for district staff also while they're here specifically?
No.
All right, well, thank you for being present. All right, well, I guess, is there any other specific points? We kind of just discussed the salary and staffing so far. Do we want to move on to the other two sections of our budget? All right.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay, I'm looking at
Sure, I just sort of wanted to make I brought it up in the first place, so I might as well finish it off. And that is regarding, I agree with Commissioner Goldstein about the subs, and that should be left alone at that $12,000 level. I think that's very close to our actuals so far, and maybe we'll have a little bit more, but it's not a wide variance, I don't think. As far as the hourly overtime is concerned, will we probably increase, go over the $2,000? Probably so. Is it a large number? No, it's not in the grand scheme of things. And I then, now that I've heard an explanation from our fiscal services director, I'm happy to stay at the $2,000 level. There's been some changes in staffing. Maybe we won't have so much hourly overtime, and as Mehdi said, might as well see what happens.
I agree. Let's go on to our others and operating expenses. Aaron, did you want to speak at all to the two other categories, or we can just turn directly to commissioner comment?
I believe that we had discussed reductions in regards to the non-salary expenses. I think this is what we came up after our last meeting, and I made some extra edits to that. And so I think if you all agree with these numbers, we can move forward with them. There were reductions too. So essentially the books and other reference materials we haven't spent there, and unless you want me to buy Ed Code books for you, then I think we're okay here. And then as far as other supplies, we reduced our expenses there, as well as the travel and conference and PD. This one's a little more challenging for me, only because I would like to offer PD opportunities for my staff in the next couple of years. However, I think that we can figure out a way to maybe move some funds or reallocate funds if these opportunities do come up, and I'll make sure to report that out to you all. And then last but not least, the legal counsel, we brought it down from 9 to 3,000.
And one request, just because of the way that we budget, and our budget goes to the school board, and I want to make sure that we're memorializing these reductions, not just for this process, obviously, but also, fingers crossed, the budget of that we get from the state and the feds will stabilize and we'll be in a better situation in the next few years. And so we'll want to look at add backs for some of these things in future budgets. And so let's make sure that we have kind of a memorialization of what we've cut, and so that we can remember and be able to show, like, these are the things we're adding back, and this is why we're adding them back, is we cut these things during the fiscal.
And I also want to point out that this memo or attached justification, we do plan on sending this together with our budget. So normally in the past, we would only send our budget to the board. I do think that this year we should send both pieces
Great.
when we send it over.
Any comments? Yeah, go ahead, and then, yeah.
Okay. Please. Let's see. So regarding books and other reference materials, so that means I still have to use my 2-year-old education code, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Not going to get any books. Okay.
You can always print one off the website online.
I was just going to say that. Can I make a request?
Yes.
And I don't know if it's just on my behalf or anybody else's. Could I ask Sarah to provide some kind of, I don't know if cheat sheet is the right word, but how best, most efficiently, to access the California Education Code online? I mean, I've done it, but it's very hit or miss. Sometimes I get it right, and oftentimes I don't. And I would like to have, sort of the steps that I need to take to access the education code, because nowadays we don't have to spend $500 on books. So I agree with that. The other thing I would say is, and I'm happy that we reduced the legal counsel expense from $9,000 to $3,000. I agreed that we need to have everything. I read the excerpt from the education code last time. I'm not going to do that again. But I will say that let's please follow the education code when it comes to using legal counsel. The education code says, as you know, that when there's a question that we have, that Aaron may have regarding a legal matter that impacts the Personnel Commission, we are first to utilize the district's legal counsel. And I understand Commissioner Gosai made a very good point, which is sometimes that legal counsel may be more in tune with district-wide issues having to do with the education code, and not specifically the Personnel Commission rules. But nonetheless, I think our first stop needs to be the district's legal counsel. And then if for whatever reason that doesn't work out, then we can go outside, and that's what we have the $3,000 for. But I'm hoping we don't even have to use any of that $3,000.
Go ahead.
I agree. with your comment about using counsel. And I think with respect to the other changes, the question that I have is 3,000 for professional development across our 4 FTE at this point. Do we have any idea how that compares with professional development set-asides in other departments? Is that consistent?
I'm not sure. I
Could
mean,
we ask our our finance experts? Yeah, come on up.
I'm
you
not
turn
sure
it
at
to-
the moment. I think I would have to, oh, I'm Benjamin Zohar. I'm a budget analyst at BUSD. I'm not too sure. I would have to do additional research to compare other departments with the Personnel Commission.
You know, probably our best peer department is Human Resources. If you could just let us know what HR spends on staff professional development, we'll, use that as, I think, a stalking horse. I think that's reasonable. Yes? Agree?
Sure.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
I have another question. Go ahead. I'm sort of backtracking. This is back to salaries and everything. I asked this question at the last meeting, and I don't think there was no resolution to it, not because of us, but because the school district had not made any decisions. And that is, and I've been away, so I haven't kept up with all the school board meetings, but furloughs, there was a discussion about furloughs for the executive director and other director-level non-represented management. I don't know what the status of that is. And then secondly, in the past, we have always, not just we, but the district has increased the salaries of non-represented management by the same percentage, I think, as Local 21. So are those two things still happening, or what's the status of those two items?
So I don't have any updates on furloughs unless Mehdi might be able to speak to that. And then as far as the salary increases for unrep management, I know in the past, like you mentioned, Izzy, we have always piggybacked with Local 21. And so I don't know if in the projections, I know Ben kind of added the Local 21 rates to next year's projected salaries, but that, I don't know if that's been approved or if it's official.
Yes, so first of all, for the furloughs that you were talking about, so when we did the salary increases and tentative agreements with the different unions, what we found that next year we will have a deficit of around $10.4 million. And this is on which we've started work to find budget balancing solutions, which could be in the range of $10.4 million, so that next year's budget is a balanced budget. And one of the proposal that has been included is the furlough days for some unrepresentative directors and non-union staff. So that is there. I think 5 furlough days, if I recall it properly. But that is definitely in the list of budget balancing solutions. And it will be presented to the board. And there are continuously, I think, 5 consecutive board meetings. So all those budget balancing solutions will be presented to the board, and they will review each and every one of them. And based on their approval, that will be implemented in the budget. But that is definitely included, but approval has to come from the board. So that is number one thing. And the other thing for salary increases, so some of the staff that you see here, they are from, I don't know if from BCCE or if there is somebody from Local 21, but those were kind of agreements that have been approved by the board, and BCCE has been, some of their dues have been paid, some others will be paid in the by the end of this month. Local 21 was approved late, so they will be, if there is any local 21 staff, they will be paid at a later date. That is for 25-26. But 26-27, those have been agreed as well, and similarly they will be treated after July 1st. And for other staff who are not part of any union, there is a Me Too clause, which was stated at the beginning of the when all this process started. So that Me Too clause will apply to other staff who is not part of any bargaining unit. So that's why there is at the bottom there is a clarification of 7% increase that is used for salary increase, and that is in general that 3% was approved by the board in general for BCCE for 25-26, and a 4% was approved by the board for 26-27. So that 7% is part of the increases in 26-27 for personnel commission as well.
And just to be sure I understand, Mehdi, that applies to unrepresented management.
Yes, unrepresentative management, they are also in that list as part of Me Too, but furlough days are in the discussion as well.
Thank you.
Sure. What I would also add is, as we all know, the SBAC meets on Wednesdays, generally from 4 to 6. So for our meeting at the end of the month, next week, really, we won't be able to attend, but I'm hopeful that we will be able to attend the meeting this coming Wednesday. I believe there is one, because I think this is the time where they really start finalizing their recommendations, and we would want to make sure we understand what they're finalizing, particularly anything apropos to the commission that we would need to discuss with them.
So we'll be meeting tomorrow at 4?
Mm-hmm. Right.
I think I can attend at least part of that.
And they typically, sometimes they do it before the meeting, sometimes they do it after the meeting, but they'll put up the presentation deck that they're speaking from, and it should, at this point, start to have some very specific items.
Yes, they meet on Wednesday at 4:30.
4:30.
And usually they go from 4:30 till 6, but tomorrow there is a board meeting, so they will end at 5:30. So it would be a shortened meeting.
Great. That's great, because I have a meeting at 6 as well.
What I do know is if you want to speak, show up early, 5 minutes early to get in the speaker queue.
And maybe Mehdi can help answer this question too. So as I say, I've been out of town, so I haven't followed all the board meetings, but I have followed the governor's May revise. And my understanding is that the May revise was pretty favorable to school districts. And so in general terms, I'm not asking you to be specific, but in general terms, what will be the impact to our district on the May revise and the impact on the budget balancing solutions or the need for the budget balancing solutions based on the May revise?
So this May revise was presented last Thursday, May 14th, and what happened that then, and this is actually part of the overall state budget, where we have the Prop 98 or TK12 budget as part of that. So that has been presented, and usually what happens that many organizations like School Services of California, they go into the details, and FICMAT, they go into detail, they provide us tools to use for us. So at the moment, what I was able to get was from the Department of Finance, the actual budget that the governor presented. And it overall it shows a huge change from January. So in January, the governor was presenting that overall the state would face around a little less than $3 billion shortfall. But this May 14, he presented that that shortfall will change to around a little less than $17 billion positive surplus. So around $19-20 billion have changed in the last 4 months. But most of that is kind of based on the stock market and the growth in AI stocks. So that's why it is a little kind of wishy at the moment. What the governor have done, that that was a legacy from the past governor, Mr. Brown, that they developed rainy day funds. So most of the monies that they are receiving, they are converting it, putting it into the rainy day funds, even for the education, TK-12. They will put around more than $4 billion into rainy day funds. So if everything goes okay and all the money comes, next year there will be $10 billion in the rainy day funds, which will be used somewhere later. Still, they are saying that they will provide us more money. And again, one thing quite sharp on their part, they are not committing everything as an ongoing money. They are providing quite a bit of that money as one-time funds. So in January, they said they will give us one-time funds of $2.8 billion. Now they say that they will increase that to $5 billion. And when they said in January $2.8 billion, so it would, what we saw that it would.
Someone on Zoom, you're unmuted. Go ahead.
Yeah. So in January, we calculated that we will have around $4.7 million for Berkeley Unified as one-time money. And what we now see that it would increase by around more than $3 million, but part of that is already committed as part of the bargaining agreement with BCCE and BFTA. So we will not see all that money. We will see around a little more than $1 million that would be available to the district for the bottom line. One good thing that they are doing, that in January they were saying the COLA or the percentage by which they will increase the LCFF revenues, which is around 80% of our revenues, was 2.41. Then we got higher inflation numbers from the federal government. So that was adjusted to 2.87%. When they presented this last Thursday, they said it would be 4.31%. So another increase of more than 1%, but then it comes with a caveat that they are introducing paid pregnancy leave of 14 weeks. And pregnancy leave, it means a very broad range. Miscarriage, the child when it is delivered, and everything related to pregnancy. So that is a very broad definition. So part of that increase that they are giving us is already committed. And this is what I was talking to Ben. How will we compute a number for this? So that would be a challenge for us. So definitely they are good news, but for some of the additional money that is already committed. It's still much better what we saw from January and what we are waiting for. Two main tools that we use. One is FICMAT LCFF calculator, which I saw that this morning they released it. And the other tool that we use is School Services of California dartboard. We hope that it would be available on Thursday. So then we will have more details as to what it means for Berkeley Unified.
Thank you very much. But overall, it's better news than bad news.
Yes, much better news, yes.
Thank you.
I am sort of curious. I'm familiar with FICMAT, which is the Financial Crisis Management Team that is a state agency-ish. School Services California, is that a nonprofit or is that a state agency?
That is basically, you could call it an independent agency, which actually works closely with the California Department of Education. And what they do when these kind of things happen, they provide support to school districts. And in the budget matters, I just said dartboard, so they will give us all the assumption as to what are the rates per child for, let's say, lottery money, for mandated cost, for stars, for purse. So all that details will come from them, and then we use this per pupil assumption that they provide, and they provide it based on the budget that was presented by the governor, and then we will use it, and then we will use our own district's numbers, ADA and enrollment and unduplicated count. We will use the assumptions that they are providing, and then we will be able to have exact numbers, what it means for the Berkeley Unified.
Thank you so much for that. And just one last thing to kind of check through. It seems like an obvious question, but maybe I should ask it anyway. When we issue our pink slips and then rescind them, what sits behind that is a working assumption about what the FTE load will be for the upcoming school year, for 26-27. So we issued a whole bunch of pink slips to classified. They have been rescinded at this point. I don't know if anybody knows the FTE that has not been rescinded, the FTE equivalent. I understand it's probably about 16 people, but I'm not sure the FTE that it corresponds to.
I'm sorry, I don't have the FTE count, but yeah, it went down to about 19 perhaps employees, and then several of them
This
are
is just
reductions.
classified.
Does that include bumping, or is that just the actual layoffs?
So I don't believe there are any more bumping
Sort of nets,
scenarios
though,
anymore.
in terms of FTE. That's why
Right.
I don't worry about
Well, that's what I'm asking, if it
bumping
includes it, doesn't
in
include
this.
it.
Yeah.
This is, I don't think that there are any more employees that are being bumped in the list. So these are just layoffs, and some of those, maybe 5 or 6, maybe reductions.
So they're not full layoffs, but fractional reductions.
Yeah.
So, at the most, I guess what I'm asking is, do you actually have a number of classified FTE that has been budgeted for next year?
Not at the moment, but this is what we are working on, and this is what that we discuss at SBAC again tomorrow, and then we have a budgetary committee that look at all those things. So that is an ongoing activity. And first of all, what we do, like we discuss about May revise. First of all, we calculate the final revenue numbers, which we are now working on, hoping that we will have the revenue numbers when Thursday School Services of California provide their dartboard and their details. So by end of this week, we have the proper revenue numbers, and then we will be able to see how to fit in what are the particular general costs and particularly the staffing costs, and then that would be fine-tuned. Everything would be with SBAC. There are 5 continuous board meetings, so it would be presented to them. Guidance will be sought from them. So we will see how we go. But at the moment, there is no fixed number, and we could make those rescinding decisions until June 30th.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And I guess what I would share with my colleagues is, from this discussion, what I'm taking is that probably 19 people comes to, let's say, about 16 FTE, give or take. So what we're looking at, I think, is a budget that right now is contemplating not more than 16 fewer, it's kind of a funny way to think of it, than we had this year.
All right. If there's no further comment, I want to thank the folks from the district for being here. Are there, I guess we're not taking any action today. This will be, we'll take a vote at our next meeting.
What we have asked for, though, that could wind up being an action is, I think what Ben said is he would try to get us comparables from HR with respect to capitated professional development, just so we can revisit our number and see if it makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we'll consider that when we meet next week. Yes, next week. We have a report from closed session on our agenda. I think that's an error.
Yeah, that's a typo.
Great. And then in that case, I'll turn to item 7, which is our public comment. If there's anyone who wishes to give public comment on what we've been discussing so far, yes.
Mr. Chairman, I think we do have an additional matter to discuss as part of the budget process, just for discussion, and that is the memo that was attached to the agenda.
Sure.
And I do have some, comments about the
Go ahead.
about the memo. Go ahead on the memo.
Yes. I was taking it all as one big thing, but please.
Well, I don't know if my fellow commissioners are going to agree with any of my suggested changes, as well as Aaron. So first of all, I want to say this is exactly, from my standpoint, exactly what we asked for. And it's going to be included with our budget presentation, because as you know, we had a director come to us last meeting and say, oh, that's very interesting, but I didn't know why, for example, the salary increases. Why are there salary increases? Well, they were clear. They were because of negotiated salary increases of 7% or so. They were because of step increases, and they were because of additional healthcare costs. And that's something, Ben has included within our budget projections. There's nothing we can do about that, but she wanted it in black and white. And that's what Aaron has provided for us. So I really appreciate that. So let's see. First off, I'll just mention, I think there were two things. In the very first paragraph where it talks about staffing adjustments and budget reductions, there's the first bullet point that says the classified personnel supervisor position was eliminated and replaced with a personnel analyst. I would like to add the words lower cost personnel analyst before personnel analyst, so that whoever is reading that can see that what we did overall was reduce our costs.
Can I just say less highly compensated instead of lower cost?
Less highly
Compensated.
I'm a little concerned about the highly part. Well,
Can we talk about, how about
Maybe Aaron will find
maybe
the
salary
right way.
scale, or where
Yeah,
placement
okay.
on the,
Okay.
lower scale?
what
be precise.
are you proposing?
I'm forgetting the word, but the salary scale, it's number whatever instead of number.
So replaced with,
What is that?
yeah, with
At a lower salary
with the-
schedule.
A lower salary schedule. So it would say with a personnel analyst of a lower salary schedule? Is that the suggestion? That's okay with me.
Compensated through a lower salary schedule.
Compensated.
I think compensated is the verb.
Okay,
We want-
compensated at a lower salary schedule. Perfect. From my standpoint. So you captured that, Aaron?
yes. And then would it be useful to also include that it's non-management? Because that was also some of the feedback when we were.
How about this? Just the classified personnel supervisor position was eliminated and replaced with a personnel analyst, comma, a non-management position at a lower salary schedule.
Perfect.
Beautiful.
Excellent. Who says you can't draft things by committee?
You can, it's just
We're
painful.
not done yet.
And then, and my probably biggest suggestion is that at the end, almost to the very end of the memo, we have the section called Operational Impact and Recruitment Success. And that's the two sections that deal with the IA SPED recruitment efforts and the instructional tech before and after school program recruitment efforts. My suggestion is I'd like to put that at the very front, at the very top of the memo. I'd like to put it as the very first thing. And I understand from a logical standpoint why Aaron would not have it. I mean, logically, it sort of doesn't belong at the very top. But although I didn't go to journalism school, I do believe in not burying the lead. And I think to a large degree that is the lead. And I'd like to have it right up at the top. And my last comment is for the IA2 SPED recruitment efforts, the third bullet point that says with an estimated 27,000 savings per position, this represents approximately 2,916,000 in, I'd like to add the word potential cost savings to the district. Because that's really what it is, I think. And those are my comments, Mr. Chairman.
I guess.
Thank you.
May I add on top of that? I think we want to identify the 27,000 savings per contracted position. I think we want to make clear it pertains to a contracted position. Okay. I love your idea about moving the other stuff to the top of the memo. And I guess looking at how the memo is structured, I don't know if there is like a key accomplishments heading. We could put at the top, but that might be a nice way to frame it.
I have one change. This is a kind of pedantic. Under staffing budget and actual expenditures, the last section says this increase is due to factors outside the commission's control, including. I think that's accurate. It kind of comes across a little whiny, and I think that there's a better way to say it, which is maybe these increases are attributable, and maybe this is even a little more pointed. This is due to decisions by the board, right? It's not that it's outside of the commission's control. It's the board made these decisions.
Board approved.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would you want to say perhaps something like this increase is due to board-approved negotiated factors?
Yes, I think that's perfect. Yeah.
And then leave out the outside of the commission's control.
Yeah. Right. Colon, and then we can name them. Yeah. Board-approved negotiated, factors. Colon. But I agree. I think it's an excellent document. Any other changes? And I agree. I think fine move it to the top. I don't object to that at all. All right. Okay. Well, in that case, and thank you for making sure we got to that. Are there any comments from the public, from our staff, from the district, union partners, online or in person?
Is this for public comment?
Yes.
I do want to add that there were some comments that we received via chat, because the chat was on.
Oh, okay. Go ahead and read those.
They are in Spanish.
Oh, okay.
So I can do my best attempt to translate them if you'd like me to.
Sure. I'm going to look over your shoulder.
Oh, okay. So the first one is from a Concepcion Estrella, and she says, we need Anita to be the coordinator in the LEARNS program at Sylvia Mendez. And then the next comment is from a Karina Chavez. She said, good morning, I'm here to ask for Anita to be the LEARNS coordinator at Sylvia Mendez. And then she added Concepcion, mentioned, BUSD, we are asking you to take into account that there are many parents that only speak Spanish. We don't speak English, and we need staff like Anita to support the parents and the students. She's very important and is a big help at the Learns program at Sylvia Mendez. And then someone named Anna said it's very important to have a specialist that is bilingual at Learns. My daughter needs to express herself in Spanish to express what she needs and to feel that someone understands. Anita has been a great help for my daughter. I'm good. As well as other bilingual teachers. Thank you. And then a Nancy Gabriela said, hello, good afternoon. I'm here to support Anita to be part of the program at Sylvia Mendez. And we'd like for her to continue supporting. Supporting the program. She is an excellent person and loves our students or our children. And then someone didn't put a name, just the phone number, said, I'm not really sure if that first sentence makes sense to me right now, but she mentioned that the students need a coordinator in their school every day. I'm assuming that she means that is bilingual. Who can bring quality programs to our students. Nancy Gabriela also said it is very advantageous having the support of Anita for parents who cannot speak or cannot express themselves in English. She is very helpful to us. And to the teachers that cannot speak Spanish. And then there is a Natalia. Oh, that one is in English, so I'll just read that out. I am completely disappointed in the district's decision to eliminate Learns program site supervisors and move to model with auditors who will only be on site a few days a week. Additionally, the decision to remove Anita Zamudio from Sylvia Mendez is unacceptable. Our school needs a bilingual site coordinator. We demand that you meet the needs of our Spanish-speaking students and families. And then we have another comment, no name again, saying we need Miss Anita in the programs at Learns. My son will be part of the program. I speak Spanish. And it is a right that my child should have. The district needs more bilingual speaking staff since it is there's a big bilingual community in Berkeley. And there's another comment, the decision to change the staffing for our program is unsafe and inequitable. Our school community needs Anita. My daughter has been seen, celebrated, and safe at Learns and with Miss Anita. We have another comment. My name is Maria Garcia. I'm here to support Miss Anita. She's one of the best coordinators that Sylvia Mendez has ever had. She speaks Spanish. And for me, it is very important for someone who speaks my language. And then we have someone, Karina Chavez, please take into account our requests and help us keep Anita in the program at Sylvia Mendez. And then last, we have Jessica Chavarria. My child will be in the LEARNS program. My family needs somebody who can speak Spanish. It is a right that we have as a community. Miss Anita is very important for the community, for the Spanish-speaking community at LEARNS in Sylvia Mendez. We need her. Okay, that was it.
Thank you. I wish I'd said this when the folks were here. I guess I'm very frustrated. Like, I totally support what they're asking for, and I think it's really irresponsible that anyone from the district, particularly a school board member, is making out as though that this is a decision by the commission or a responsibility of the commission. That's not. It's not. I mean, I think I'm preaching to the choir, for the folks who are still in attendance. But if any school board members are listening, please don't misinform the public and our parents about what the job of the commission is. It is very squarely the duty of the school board to manage these positions, to request that these positions be bilingual, or to approve that all of those questions are district questions. And certainly, I mean, speaking for myself, if a request is made for this kind of position at Sylvia Mendez, I would certainly support that, but it's not our role. And if folks are trying to maintain that this commission is the reason that's not happening, then that's just false. And I certainly hope that parents understand that it's a district decision and that school board members stop pretending it's anything other than that.
We also have one more hand raised.
Go ahead.
Malena?
Hi, I mean, maybe we're misunderstanding what the job of the commission is, but we've had little space to advocate for this site coordinator. This is a matter of equity. Our school is the only bilingual school in the district. It has all kinds of families there with high needs. Anita has not only is she compassionate and loving and supporting of our students, she also has the skills and the background that's needed for that high level of needs that our students have. And that requires that level of position, the site coordinator position, as well as a bilingual staff that can do all of that. In addition to that, ever since she took over the program, that program has like really good enrichment programs for the kids. And it's a way in which we're promoting equity in Berkeley, just giving all these kids access to all those programs and all of the benefits that come with them. And I don't know, maybe this is not the right place to advocate for this, but we've been trying to make our voices heard. And this is where, this is one of the places where we thought we could do that.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
I want to make clear, I'm not upset at any of the members of the public who are coming to speak today. I think that you all are totally right on, and we totally support what you're saying. I just, to kind of step back, the job of the commission is to fill the positions that are created by the district, right? So the board approves positions, the board designates those positions, they can request that those positions be made bilingual, and we implement those decisions and through the process that's prescribed by state law. And so, it is up to the board and the district on creating those positions, funding those positions, and then they can, and then make the request to the commission. We respond to board action. And so, certainly, in my individual capacity, I support what you're asking, and I look forward to getting that from the district as well. Go ahead.
Sure. So on the advocacy side, thank you for coming. One outcome that you have is that our executive director is going to go to the superintendent's office to find out, do you have a requirement for us, and should we be putting forward a job description, right? So we'll report back on what we learned there. Does anybody have the SBAC information up? Another good place for you to advocate is at the meeting tomorrow, Wednesday, that you said starts at 4:30, right? I think on the district landing page on the right-hand side menu, they'll have something about the link to get to that SBAC meeting. And I really appreciate that, half a dozen people plus came here to talk about this today. And I think SBAC ought to hear you as well, because their recommendations to cut positions influence the board. Their recommendations to not cut a position will influence the board. So we'll do two things. We will find out from the commission, is there a requirement for a new bilingual position, and take action as appropriate with that. But I think the other half of this is really going to the SBAC and making your feelings heard, and obviously going to school board meetings. So Wednesday could be a busy day. You could get a twofer on this Wednesday.
Go ahead.
The only thing I'd like to add, one is a process thing, but first, that I agree with all of the advocacy. We talked about this previously, but we all agree with the advocacy regarding a bilingual position at Sylvia Mendez, and that would be very wise. And as our chairman has said, first that has to come through the school board for a determination, and then it comes to the commission for approval. And my guess is, I don't want to prejudge it, but that it would probably be approved in all likelihood by this commission. My second comment is more one of process, because I don't, from my personal standpoint, I don't want it to be a precedent that we are taking public comment via chat. I
100% agree.
I'm not really sure that that's consistent with the Brown Act and how public comment is supposed to be accomplished. I don't disagree with any of the chat commenters. I think what they said is absolutely right on, but in terms of process, I think we should be considerate of that. And then lastly, I do notice that our Assistant Superintendent of Business Services came in to join us. Thank you very much for joining us, and was wondering through the chair if you'd invite our Assistant Superintendent, if she does have any comments to make about our budget, that this would be a good opportunity to do so.
Yes, to your prior comment, I agree about the chat. I think the chat shouldn't generally be on. If it was on and people didn't understand that they couldn't give comment that way, I think it's important for us to take it, but in the general. Go ahead, Sarah.
I agree with that as well. I just want to say I do believe in this instance it was helpful because there was a language barrier, and that should be noted.
Yes.
But yeah, in general, I agree. But yeah, if the Assistant Superintendent wanted to give a couple comments, certainly we would appreciate it. Oh, if you don't mind coming up to the mic, just so for folks on Zoom. Thank you.
Thanks. Is it on? Yes. Yeah. So thanks, Izzy, and hello, everyone. I'm happy to be here, even though I was late. I was in extended cabinet. So Erin shared the budget with us, and I know you have a June 1st deadline to get it to the county. We had taken a look at the salaries and looked at the change from year over year. So Ben provided a schedule, and we just had some concerns about the changes in FTE, where there were changes. And then if it's a 7% increase, we were expecting just the increase, which was like 3% for the rest of the district. But I understand there were emails between us and your department. So we need to, I need to look into that a little bit further. But I am expecting a 3% change and wanting to know a little bit more about the change in FTE, because that's an added cost. So I think that was what, but we appreciate the reductions in the non-salary items, but we still have a few questions about the salary items.
Certainly. Erin, do you want to speak to those? You just turned off.
So the salary increases, those were provided by Ben and Business Services to account for the 3% for this current year, and then 7% from the last year to this year. So it's not 7% next year, it's just the 3%. But then
that's for both?
Yeah, it's for both years.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right, that makes sense. And if it was provided by our department?
Yes, no, all those numbers I received from Ben.
So you didn't increase the 25, 26 amounts? For the raises, you didn't, you just had the raise that was
I
there.
just provided what we brought last year, which didn't account for that because we didn't know about the
Okay.
salaries, so,
All
yeah.
right, okay, good.
And then on the FTEs,
And then the FTE, we are not raising the FTE. We just lowered one of the 1.0 HR techs to 0.5 and then split that essentially in half and added it to 2 of our part-time staff. So we're not
Oh, I see.
adding more FTE, we're actually lowering it by like 0.04. So
Okay.
it's the same FTE,
I
yeah.
think that explains a lot. So thanks a lot.
yes, and thank you for
you.
being here.
Okay.
And can I make one
Yes,
comment?
please.
And so I'd say for Aaron, if you could work with Ben, and if Pauline or Mehdi look at, from a process standpoint, if there's a different way that our budget should be showing the 3% and the 4% that's more appropriate, I don't think substantively it makes any difference to the commissioners.
Certainly.
But if there's a more appropriate, from a fiscal standpoint, a more appropriate way of showing it, I think we'd be 100% open to any changes that you suggest as far as that's concerned.
I could clarify too in the budget that it's split up the 3% versus the 4% from the last year to this upcoming year, and make that a little more clear.
Add that to the memo as well.
Yeah.
All right. Are there any other public comments online, if someone would like to raise their hand? Seeing none, we will turn to our next meeting, which will be next week. Our next regularly scheduled meeting will be next week at 1 p.m. Are there any issues with that time and date? I hope not, because we've already got it down. And that will be in these chambers or in the offices? In the chambers, great. In that case, is there a motion to adjourn?
All motion.
And I agree. And so we are adjourned. Thank you all.